So it's late at night, 9:50. Coming up, Monday, is my son's birthday. And under quarantine, I'm not running to the store to get a birthday cake. So, time to plan a little in advance and make a couple cake rounds. Little guys. Before we get started, a couple words about birthday cakes. The cake part themselves that you buy from any store, it's pretty much a box cake. They get them ready-made in sheets and cut them down to just assemble them with also some ready-made icing that comes out of giant 5-gallon buckets. It's not very appetizing when you see the back room. So what we're going to be doing today is based on a pound cake, and then later on we're going to be making a Italian meringue buttercream. But for now, pound cake is going to be the layers of our birthday cake. Pound cakes is butter cake. That means stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, a hand mixer can work. It's really not worth doing this by hand, if you ask me, and if you watch this video through, you'll soon understand why. Start by placing 1.5 sticks of cool-ish butter into your work bowl. Add 1.5 cups of sugar to the butter and set the mixer on low speed. To that you add an additional 2 ounces of neutral oil. We use grapeseed oil. The different fat changes the texture of your final cake. Now we've reached the point of our recipe called creaming. We are creaming the sugar and the butter. It will form a cohesive mass and is a very important step in many butter cakes. The sugar crystals will make microscopic holes in the butter that then inflate by our chemical leavening the baking powder. That's the fluffy texture you're looking for. Set the mixer to medium speed and add 3 eggs plus 1 egg yolk, one at a time. Make sure the eggs are fully incorporated, otherwise the mixture could break and you'll have a buttery, lumpy mess. Separate bowl, we have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to need a 1/2 cup of cornstarch. The purpose of this is to lower the gluten. All-purpose flour is significantly higher gluten than cake flour, and since pound cakes are a cake, we don't want so much gluten. Into this flour, we're going to add our 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder. And butter always needs a little salt, so we're going to go with a heavy pinch of salt. That's about a 1/4 teaspoon. Now every direction you see is going to tell you you should sift this. I don't have a sifter, so we're going to whisk it. The purpose of sifting is to break up all the flour clumps. As the flour sits, it's going to settle. So this doesn't do as good of a job, but it's as close as we're going to get. Add this in 3 parts to the butter mixture. After the second addition, add 1/2 cup of milk. Now add the rest of our flour. Excellent. Come this way. Okay. This is a pretty thick batter. That's what you want. It should be heavy. It should feel dense. This is not your box cake. It's going to be so much better. Now, we're going to grease and flour these pans. Ready to go. Bake these 350 degrees for 25 minutes until they're set. You'll know. Now we let these guys cool. We're gonna freeze them and then ice them. We're gonna meringue and we're gonna ice a birthday cake. Step 1, Swiss meringue. Step 2, put in way too much butter. To start your Swiss meringue, we have a bowl. Has to be super clean. Wash it again if you're unsure, but I use glass because it's the most clearly clean on the inside. Don't worry about the spots on the outside. Now, after this, we need 3 perfectly separated egg whites. I have my 3 yolks. Notice my yolks are whole. You want whole yolks, not a drop of yolk is going to get into these egg whites, or you won't meringue. Now, 3 egg whites into the bowl of your favorite mixer, and now we can pretty much leave this alone, set aside, because we're making not a Swiss meringue, because I said Swiss meringue. We're making an Italian meringue, which is based on a caramel. So what we need is a pot. Here's my pot. In my pot, we're gonna have 1 cup of sugar, a honey, bear, or any honey that you have. About that much. What you need is about a 1/4 cup. All this is doing is that as we make our caramel, it prevents the sugar crystals from reforming. So we have a liquid sugar, which has a lot of fructose in it, that will keep our sucrose, table sugar, from reforming crystals. Okay? We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of water to this and put it on the stove, medium-high heat. We're at the stove, 2 tablespoons of water going in. This water's only function is to help our caramel start. Notice it's not all even wet, but that doesn't matter. Turn it on, and we're gonna let this guy go for about 5 minutes. And I will show you how to test your caramel. Have a cup with cool water ready. Before we test our caramel, a few words about caramel. It's very hot and very sticky. For caramel to be caramel, all the water that we started off in our pot is going to evaporate off. And once that water's evaporated off into the air, what you're left is really, really hot sugar that's going to get to super hot temperatures. Sugar has a very high specific heat. It holds on to heat, kind of like having that baked potato that's really, really hot and takes forever to cool down. Yeah, sugar's like that too, except it's hotter than boiling water and it's sticky and stringy and it hurts. So please be careful. We're going to be testing this sugar to make sure that we actually achieved a caramel between 230 and 250 degrees. We're looking for a hard caramel, nothing too soft, and it can be brittle. It will also turn into a sphere when we drop it into cold water. Let's give it a go. We have our caramel here cooking, medium heat. And adjacent to it, I've taken my little vessel where I had my 2 tablespoons of water and I filled it up with a little bit more water. So we are going to shut this off for safety's sake. And we're going to take our rubber silicone spatula, silicone because it's heat proof. Stir this up, make sure it's an even temperature. And we're going to take a drop of this into the water. You just need a drop. This is the test. This isn't for an ingredient. The water is going to cool this down. Notice how, can we see it? Is that good? Notice how it formed a sphere. If it was a syrup, it would kind of like splash in there and make a couple lines. Also, reaching in here, it is very hard. Pop it in your mouth. Taste it. Feel that texture. It's a super hard caramel sucking candy right here, which, if that's what we're going for, this would be fantastic. But it's not. We're going to make meringue. Keep your caramel on super low heat just to keep it hot. We are going to start our eggs whipping, and then we're going to drizzle this in the side of our stand mixer. Start. We have our eggs in the bottom. 3 egg whites. Remember from the very beginning? Whisk attachment. Start your stand mixer on low speed. We're gonna raise it to high speed until it just starts to foam. And as it's foaming, we're gonna drizzle in our caramel. Pay attention to how the egg whites look. It has literally been 30 seconds. Look at how foamy the egg whites have become already. Now is the stage where you can increase the speed of the mixer to get the meringue started, but we're only gonna get a true meringue once we add sugar. So we have a foam, but this is not a meringue at all. This will break very quickly and weep into a puddle of gross, already whipped egg whites. Now we add our caramel. That caramel will set our meringue structure correctly and will stabilize it for our icing. Word to the wise, soak your pot. We very quickly have achieved a stiff peak meringue. A couple pieces of caramel shard in there, never hurt anybody. This is now 100% safe to eat. Oh, you couldn't see me do that. But that's pretty good. Even get a few little shards of caramel. That's awesome. That's such a cool texture. Now what we have to do is emulsify a whole lot of butter into these whipped egg whites. And yes, it will collapse, but that's okay. If you're in doubt, keep adding more butter. Cold butter, one pat at a time, very slowly. We're gonna start with 2 sticks of butter, but we might need more. Keep that in mind. So I want to show this to you. This is now very thin. We just had a wonderful whipped meringue, and this looks thin and kind of gross. That's okay. Keep going. It will get awesome. Next, stick of butter. Yes, stick. This is called buttercream after all. Now would you look at that? We've achieved buttercream. This is what you're looking for. We're just shy of 2 sticks of butter, so 2 3/4 sticks of butter. We went from a formed meringue to collapsed mess to now incredible, real buttercream. This is gonna be stable. You can put this on a cake. Be careful, there's a lot of butter in it, but you're never gonna go back to traditional icing. It's absolutely fantastic. Now we're gonna flavor it. To flavor our buttercream, we're gonna go with some lime zest, some citric acid, because I don't wanna add any watery lime juice to this, and salt and vanilla. That's it. Lime zest, citric acid, salt, vanilla. It's a lot of flavoring going on, but each one's gonna build on the other. Citric acid, actually also called sour salt. Buy this in the spice aisle. It's handy stuff. This is what gives sour candies its sour zing. It's also very handy to clean electric kettles from calcium buildup. 1/8 teaspoon. Strong stuff. We all know what salt is. Also, about 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon. And finally, we have pure real vanilla extract. We went through all this trouble, use real vanilla. A heavy squirt. We're very precise here. Add this straight in, all the salt, citric acid, and so on. Mix that in. My usual taste testers are asleep, so I guess I have to do it. You get the flavor of the vanilla and the lime. It's subtle, it's gentle. And you get a little zing from the citric acid. It's not overwhelming at all. It's gonna really complement the vanilla cake that we made. And hopefully Danny likes it for his lime flavored birthday cake. Also, it's a lot of butter. It's not that pleasant to eat straight. So have it on cake.
Birthday, dear Daniel. Happy birthday to you.
That's it. Get all that spit on that cake.
Thank you for joining us on the Nerdy Dad, where we bring you fun family food science. Thanks for watching this video with the Nerdy Dad. Subscribe to me on social media at Nerdy Dad Foods for more accessible family food science.